So we're live. I'm gonna go live here on Instagram in a second. We should start seeing some people trickling in. Ah, the little one back there, huh?
Yeah, 7 months.
7 months, man. It's crazy,
Yeah,
man. Is that number two or
no,
one?
number one. Yeah,
Oh, okay. I don't know why I thought it was number two. What's going
yeah,
on,
number
y'all?
one.
I see some of you guys are in here already. So as you come in, just chime in the chat. Let us know where you're joining us from today. Let me drop it in the group again. Be sure everybody knows. Group. Um, yeah, man. I don't know. I don't know what it seemed like. It seemed like it's been longer since you guys had the kid. Huh?
I know it seems like forever, but yeah, I mean, 7 months already is crazy.
Right, right. Let's see. Let's edit the post live. Yeah. There we go. Update this. Ooh, there we go. Marvin, Sweet Cheeks Blue. Wow, good job, dude. We don't we don't know why we don't want to know why they call you Sweet Cheeks, but at all, we don't want to find out either.
Mhm.
Oh man, let's see. So we got Marvin in, we got Michael in, Adam, uh, Michael's sidekick Adam, right? We got a couple people joining us here on YouTube. Brian Pride, what's up? I mean, not on YouTube, on what's it called? Instagram. Off today, guys. Off. Let's see. Oh, my man Dorian's in here. What's up, man? How you doing, bro? So as we wait for people to just kind of like trickle in, we are 2 weeks out. 2 weeks out from the Bokeh Summit, man. Like I'm super excited. A lot of like finishing touches on everything. Um, Brian Christian, I see you in here, bro. So yeah, I mean it's been an exciting journey so far, trying to get everything all together. All of the designs and stuff are coming together as well. I'm super excited to be able to host you guys here in Atlanta.
Yeah, it's so crazy. It's two
Right,
weeks. Just
right.
can't
Two
wait.
weeks out. But so yeah, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna start diving in as other people, start to trickle in. But what does Michael say? I have to get my boy here too. But yeah, Ivan was one of the first people that I reached out to as I started this process with, um, putting together the Boca Summit. Now, if you aren't familiar with Ivan, chime in the comments. Like outside of obviously knowing that he's going to be an instructor at the summit, right? But Ivan and I met during the competition circuit, via like WPPI and all of this stuff. Super amazing photographer that just creates all of this weird shit that I'm like, dude, like, how did you come up with that? Like, what was your thought process behind creating that? And even I'm not sure if you still do it, probably do, but you would post like the Instagram post of this shot, but then also show not only how you shot it, but then show like the editing breakdown about how you got from, the actual capture to the final edit. So much so that what was that? Maybe three years ago, 2 years ago, it was 3 years ago, I think maybe or whatever. After like officially meeting at WPPI, I was like, bro, like I just want to come out. I want to learn. Like tell me what I gotta do to come out because I want to be able to learn. Your editing process is crazy. Your mind, how you get from one place to the next, is just absolutely insane. So for those who don't know about you, right? Um, tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, tell us, how how you started in photography. Just kind of give us a brief rundown.
Yeah, so it's been like a fun little journey of mine. I started like I guess like everyone else, helping a friend, just carrying, bags and like helping at weddings and stuff like that. And I was like, I guess like a year into like my wedding photography, like doing it by myself when I went to WPPI for the first time, and I just was blown away. I went to the judging room, and it was just amazing to see other photographers do the kind of work that they do, especially in studio. Because I didn't know, I didn't do any studio stuff. I was just doing like events,
Oh wow.
and I couldn't believe it. Like I was like, wow, these people really do this kind of work, and that's when it kind of like clicked to me. I was like, that's what I want to do. I love like kind of like the artistic, like the all crazy kind of stuff, the editing, and I started just like looking, okay, who's who, and like looking through people's names,
Hmm.
and I was so inspired by so many people. Then that I started after coming from WPP, I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna set up a bunch of photo shoots and do rent a little studio, and then start doing a bunch of studio stuff, and that's how it started, just from like seeing the pictures at this conference. That's why I think it's so important to, especially nowadays, right, that everything's like social media and digital, like to attend to this kind of conferences, because it's not the same. Like
It's
people
not.
will think like, well, I'm gonna get a class and I'm gonna, but if you think about it, it's the same with anything else, right? Like an athlete, like someone who's starting a career, like it's so much different to be there and to be asking the person, okay, what do I need to do, or how do you do that, right? It's not the
Right.
same as just online and just kind of get the idea. So you get a lot more. So that's what I did. I started like searching for people around my area that were like you know doing the kind of work that I did
Hmm.
or that I wanted to do, and I took their classes in person. And then I just started like doing a bunch of different photos, just like a lot and a lot. And I think that's the second thing that really advanced my career. I think first was like just to learn from someone, and the second one was to actually practice, because even I think nowadays we get so caught up in like, okay, we need to learn this one trick in photography, right? Or like we need to learn this one editing skill, and that's just gonna make me the best photographer in the world. And it's not true. Even if you take the class, right, and
Right.
all the basics or all the master classes and whatever, if you don't practice it, it's just never going to click. And you don't just practice it once or twice, you practice it for a bunch of times. When I took my first class with this guy, I think he's retired now, it's a good friend of mine, it's Eric Caparas. He does
Hmm.
some amazing work like studio, and his editing is amazing. When I took his class and I saw him like do an editing in class, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so easy, right? Like, oh, like he only does this. Oh man, I'm gonna go home and gonna edit all my photos, and they're gonna look amazing. So I went back home and tried it, and no way. It took me forever. And that's the thing, right? That's what we always hear. Like people who made it easy is because they're just so masterful at what they do. It's not that it's easy. It's that they just have so much practice that they put in. So it took me like, I don't know, like I was like obsessed. Like I would like edit every single day for like hours and hours and hours, and I would like, get frustrated because they didn't come through. Yeah, I'm talking about like every single technique I tried, touch and burn, like frequency separation, like different techniques, so that I
Hmm.
could master those things. And finally, like like 2 years, just start kind of clicking, and that's when I saw like my progress and was like, okay, now I'm getting it. And that's I think that's one of the things that we don't really have believe in. I don't know, like you need to put the time pretty much.
Right. Yeah, you definitely got to put that work in, bro. Like, and now I'll say, I've been the first to say one of my biggest mistakes, or one of the things I wish I had done different along the way, was practice. Like, I I didn't practice. I don't practice. Every blue moon I'll get in and be like, oh, at the end of a session or something like that. Like, let me try something, different. You know what I'm saying? But like for me, it was just always about like getting to the money and creating the stuff that was going to produce results financially, right? Versus creatively, and like to the point where I track my most purchased poses and stuff like that when it comes to particular wall art, things of that nature, whatever, because I
Mhm.
want to be able to like I just completely monetize this whole thing
Yeah.
versus the creative stuff because I've never considered myself to be creative. You know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
like, we're in competition and your stuff comes up. I'm like, what is wrong with this dude? Like who comes up with this stuff? You know what I'm saying? And like the one with the skulls. I'm actually gonna pull that up really quickly.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't think you know I think maybe some people have not quite seen that yet, but I remember the first time I saw the image, um, and uh, you get up on it, and it's different poses. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm obviously you reused them around, right? But it's different poses across the whole thing. So to put that level of attention to detail and like creativity into it is just insane to me, man. So hats off to you, bro.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, that image definitely took some thinking, and people ask me this question a lot, like like where do you come with ideas and stuff like that, and it's interesting because like I kind of like took a break from like competition because my kid,
Uh-huh.
I don't have enough time to like just go to the studio and plan all these shoots because it takes some planning, right? And sometimes when I plan something it doesn't work the first time because it's just so I haven't tried it or it's kind of like out there like or too many people involved or like
Uh-huh.
makeup that is like very different. Sometimes I have to redo the whole shoot again. But it's
Mm.
it's interesting that I notice a big difference when I kind of like have a drive to like say, okay, I'm gonna compete in this competition next, and then I kind of like prepare and I build a lot more creative stuff.
Uh-huh.
And when I kind of like stop, I was like not really. I was still doing photo shoots, but I wasn't really creating like I guess like worthy competition images because I
Mhm.
didn't have that in as a goal. So I definitely see a difference now. I'm kind of like coming back to like start doing more create stuff. So I have more photos for the coming competitions. But yeah, it was a big change, big difference for sure.
Yeah, it's just crazy because like even me, like I have nothing for competition right now. But I've only ever created two images that were specific for a competition. Everything else just comes from client work, right? So, you know, um, it wasn't until what was that 2022 or 2021 that I was having no, it was the conversation I had with you. We were at the award
Mm.
show after the fact or whatever, you like, yeah, I got to get back home and start creating some more stuff for competition. And I was like, you shoot stuff specifically for competition? And you were like, yeah, like, and that thought just never even crossed my mind at the time or whatever. So I did create some images in 22 for comp for 23, but then we obviously didn't have comp in 23, right? So I rolled
Yeah.
those images over to like this year or whatever. Um, but yeah, man. So again, I knew about all of your stuff or whatever from competition, and then later on figured out that you're a wedding photographer. You know what I'm saying? You would never think that going from like the edgy kind of stuff that you do in the studio and then coming back and doing weddings and stuff like that as well. I'm actually gonna go back for a second. I remember when you posted this image, right? I'm like, how the hell did he do that? Now, and I say that because I tried something similar. Um, I won't give it away in case I can figure it out. I tried something similar at some point and shit did not work, clearly, right? So when this popped up, I was like, yo, like, how the hell did this dude do that, right? But yeah, man, you never cease to amaze me when it comes to the stuff that you come up with. Even the image that we use for the graphic. Now, granted, obviously you know how you did that, right? But I remember that image. Um, that image came in. Was it first in boudoir? No, 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 no. You
In
had another
teens.
in teens. But you had another image that came in first in boudoir that was similar. The same year I won my two first place trophies.
Mm.
Um, that I just thought was like fantastic image. It's in here somewhere. I would have been quite a few years back, but I'll find that as we kind of go through. But if you guys haven't had an opportunity to dig through his Instagram, his portfolio, then I definitely suggest you go in and go check it out. Especially like these reels or whatever. Like he's showing you like the complete breakdown about how he gets from point A to point B and stuff. So I would definitely suggest again that you go check it out. Now I did see one question I'm gonna pop over. Adam says, "Do you feel competitions are beneficial to helping you grow as an artist?"
Yeah, that's a good question, and definitely, I mean, like I was saying before, whenever I have a competition in mind, like I this past year, like I said, I took a break, but before that, I always had like a kind of like a mentality. So the first year I competed at WPI, actually, I brought like a couple photos uh, just from outdoor shoots that I did, right? And that was when I saw the studio work. But when I was in the judging room, waiting for my pictures, I was seeing the older photos coming up. I was like, oh my gosh! I was like, please just don't show my photos. Don't show my photos. These are terrible compared to like everyone else. I was just like, oh my, like I didn't know the caliber of like the competition. I was like, man, my photos are like not even close to this. And I
Right.
got like a 76, 78, like, like really low. And I was like, man. And then I saw the studio work, competition. And then I set myself like a really, really high like goal. I was like, okay, for next year, I'm going to come back and I want a gold award, not like a first place, second place. I just want a gold award, and that was
Mhm.
my goal for the next year. So that year I just like was like going crazy just in my studio stuff. And for those who don't know about competition, sometimes a gold award is like even harder than to get like a first place sometimes,
It is.
because you can have like like a first place that has like a silver award, and that's the first place, just got like maybe like a 85 or something like that. But to get in gold award is like really, really hard. You don't see that many when you go through like and you see like the photos hanging. You don't see that many. Maybe like 10, maybe less than 10.
Right.
So next year, that's what I did, and I did get my first goal. So from then on, I was like, okay, next year can I do the same thing? So yeah, to answer the question, I think that for me is very. It not only helps me to become better artists, but also helps me to like know older people, to see what they're doing. Like for example, like if I would have got like a third place or a second place, I would have like see who were the top five in this competition, and I would be like, oh, like their work is like pretty interesting, and kind of like get inspired also by all those people. And then I've been competing so much that I now like would know most of the people competing. So that's also been like very, very helpful for me to know and to actually talk to the other people and be like, hey, how do I love your photo, it was amazing, and kind of like get to know them too. So it definitely helps you like to grow a lot as an artist, and to like build your community and like know other people that are maybe in your same areas or doing kind of like same stuff that you do. So it's pretty fun to do that too.
Yeah, man. Because again, like I mean, there's a group of us that like that's how we met. We met
Yeah.
through competition, right? Like, so there's even at the shows, like we get together or whatever, like, but that's how we know one another, through competition. You, myself, Ali, right? So Ali Cooler, who is a fantastic photographer, a buddy of mine, right? Um, but to be around people and then be able to stretch your creativity, and it's, again, it's a community. Like you said, you ask people like, hey, like, how the hell did you do that, right?
Yeah.
Where, as in most situations, like, people aren't really going to be as inclined to be like, hey, yeah, let me help you out. So finding your community is extremely important, because the goal of community is to be able to be sure that everybody grows, right? And obviously we're competing all the time when it comes to competition and awards and stuff like that. But I mean, we've had first place awards in the same competition,
Yeah.
different categories, you know what I'm saying? But like, uh I I just think that it's important, man. So, you know I appreciate everything that you do for, create for the creative community, you know so let's dive in. We're going to talk a little bit about, like, your class at Bokeh Summit. Now, again, for me, I your pictures are just, they're dynamic, right? They are so different and so to the left a lot of times or whatever, right?
Mhm.
That I just really, I love the way that you end up thinking about things. So now your class, which is the essentials of dramatic light, right? Tell us a little bit about, what people can expect to learn in that class.
Yeah, for this class, mainly it's gonna be, well, I'm gonna talk a lot about different little tips and things like that, but I would like to show kind of like some of my favorite light scenarios. I think for me, when I was learning, lighting is definitely one of the things that people can struggle a little bit more, especially when you go above one light. I remember when I started my first shoot, I just set up like three different lights, and all the three were different powers, and they were flashing. And I'm like, okay, which one is the main light, and which one is doing this? And it got so confused, right? So I always like to start with one light and then kind of like turn the other one and progress. So that's kind of like what I want to be showing you guys in this class, like some of my favorite light scenarios, and if we can do some gel work, that also I would like to do that. Gels are one of the things that I enjoy to do a lot too, because you can be a little bit, if you have something already that is very creative and then you add gels, it just, you can add like a different level to your work. And gels are also very hard to do, very hard to, it's not that easy. It depends like what gel you use. Sometimes from one gel to the other one, even though you have the same power output, it won't be as bright, right? Or it will be less bright because of the color of the
Color.
gel. So sometimes we have to like think about those things, and and it's fun to learn, but it takes like a little bit, like I say, like a lot of practice. But yeah, in this class, that's what we're going to be doing. And I want to kind of like talk about a little bit of like, I guess one of the questions I also get a lot is how the ideas come, or how
Right.
all this process. And I'm going to dive a little bit into that. And I think ideas, just to kind of like do like a little summary, it's kind of like having a goal, right? If you want to be creative, or like have an idea for like a next shoot, this is what I used to do. I don't do that much right now because of, like I said, my kid and stuff like that. But I always have like my mindset of like trying to like search for something, and I kind of like have I say like kind of like my mind was like open all the time, like to be looking
Mm-hmm.
for ideas. Because I think if you like, you just think like I want to be more artistic, and then you don't really think about it until you shoot, then you have no ideas because you're not constantly looking. But if you have that in your mind, like every single day, okay, I want to get like this idea for a creative idea for my next shoot. what's gonna be, and then you start like paying attention to stuff, like maybe something you watch on your TV show, maybe you're shopping and then you see some flowers or something that it's kind of like interesting or weird, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna maybe use this as a prop, I'm gonna maybe use this in front of the lens, or like you kind of like start thinking a little bit more. So yeah, we'll dive in some of those things, and then I'll show you some of the things that I do, um, like little tricks with like filters and stuff like that you can put in front of your lens to add some like a little more creativity to your shoot. So yeah, but I'm excited. I can't wait.
Yeah, man. Like I can't remember where you are time slot wise, but I'm like, I'm gonna have to utilize that opportunity to like photobomb the class and like sit in the back and kind of figure out what's what, man. Because again, like I love your stuff. I love your technique. I love the creativity behind it all. But again, too, like I do think that a special part of it is the editing process because we all know and understand that initial images out of the camera a lot of times are not sexy. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
you got to do some work to get to that final result. Um, which brings me back to I just want to peep about this. Where'd it go? Let's go back to your Instagram. Instagram. And as you guys have questions and stuff like that, be sure to like pop them in the chat. We are doing. Let's see, present. This is the image that I showed earlier, right? So this image here, like with the scrolls, like what was the inspiration, the initial inspiration behind this image?
Yeah, this I guess this is a perfect example of like having kind of like your mind open to always looking for something. When I was doing this photo shoot, the idea was to, well, I guess what happened on this shoot is like I wanted to do a photo of like someone kind of like in body painting. She's covered in body painting, but I wanted to look like it was kind of like a drawing, kind of like a sketch. So I was like, maybe I just ask the body painter to paint it all like in white, and then just do some lines in black, so it kind
Uh-huh.
of looks kind of like a like a drawing or like a sketch kind of like thing. And this model is like I've been working with her for so long, and she's a good friend of mine. She's a dancer, so she knows how to move, and then she's easy to work with. But when I was doing the photo shoot, that was the intention, just to have those photos of like being kind of like just sketch. But when she was like doing her poses, she was doing a lot of like you know different things, and I was like, the idea kind of came doing the shoot. I was like, oh, like she's doing so many different poses, and because she's like in this very interesting black and white body painting,
Hmm.
maybe I want to do a composite with her, like combine a bunch of photos of like her, like in a bunch of different poses. So then I told her, I was like, okay, I got what I needed. Why don't we do just do a bunch of different poses, like sitting, standing on the floor, just just do you, like I want you to do like all kinds of different poses. And that's what she did. And I think I believe in this photo is like about like 130
Yeah,
different
I was gonna
poses.
ask you.
Yeah, about different and
That's
photos in total there are about like 200. So yeah, some
uh,
of them are repeat, but yeah, there are a bunch. There are a bunch
dang,
of.
dude, that's crazy.
So when I came home, I pulled a bunch of them, right, and then I put them in Photoshop, and I did a quick masking, because before you didn't have like what we have now, that you just click and then the background is gone. Uh, but just some quick masking just to see just the model, and then I started playing with it, like rearranging, like started like making some kind of forms figures, and it took kind of like 2 weeks to get this idea, like to find a click, because I was like, maybe I just use different people in the line, or maybe put them like all around the frame. I was trying to like replicate maybe like a picture frame with her, just like create the picture frame. But I didn't really like that, so I was like, And then one day I was just like, it just clicked. I was like, oh my gosh, it's cool. It will be like perfect because black and white, and it's kind of like it'll be kind of like edgy, and then I started doing it, and yeah, that's how. And then I'm doing it. It just took more time, but yeah, sometimes the idea doesn't really come like I guess the final product doesn't really come like like
Mhm.
months in advance. Sometimes I have the idea and the shoot, and then the polish idea comes later on. But that's how this photo came to be here now.
Yeah, man. So what was the, if you remember, what was the total edit time on that?
Oh, I think it took me like about like a month and a half. Yeah, because it was just so much work. It was like, can you just imagine like 200 photos? You have to mask every single photo, so you
Right.
don't see the background, and then you have to remove each little, because when she was body painted, she had like pasties, and she had like a seamless underwear.
Right.
So even though it's kind of seamless, you still see the line. So I had to like remove the line so it looked kind of like skin, or like just so that it didn't look like the underwear and the pasties. So I
Right.
had to do that, like fix all of them, and then it also took a bunch of time to like actually rearrange the photos like the way
Right.
there will be. And then at some point I was like, oh, maybe I just clone it to the other side, it's easy. But I was like, no, if I had to do it, I gotta do it right. So I didn't just clone them, I just did everything manually. And yeah, that's how it comes. And
Damn, bro.
some things about competitions that I also like is that when I enter this competition, this photo actually is not the final edit, uh, because when I enter to a couple competitions before, so sometimes I enter competitions that are like if WPPI, you can enter the the online part of the competition, and then you qualify for the competition, right?
Right.
So sometimes they give you some feedback in what your picture needs or the improvements or stuff like that. And I think this photo I entered to the World Photographic Cup for Team Mexico, and
Right.
then they also give you feedback on you qualify for the team, but you have this amount of time so that we can submit it to the actual competition. So
Right.
one other thing they told me there that I didn't really see, but you clearly see it when they tell you, right? Like if you look in this one, like you see the teeth of the skull. They kind of look, so the shadow is in different positions, so it kind
Right.
of they look kind of like this, right? Like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they told me maybe if you put like the shadow to go one side, all the heads, so that it look more like evenly and doesn't look kind of like crooked or like something like that. So that's what I did. So I fixed it so it is like the shadow is only on one side, and that make a huge difference in that photo, and that winning first place in Italy that one year. But there's sometimes things like that, like you get a little feedback, and then you can make your photos even better. So yeah, that's another benefit of like entering competitions, because you get that feedback.
Let me go back really quick. Sheena says, in competition, do you tend to focus on the audience of the competition, meaning enter the competition with the portrait from Shutterfest, but the images that metal were those in landscape and animals. How do you know what they're looking for when you're entering?
Like once you start entering different competitions, you kind of like understand also the competition. Like one competition is different from the other one. For
Right,
example, WPPI is very high caliber, and they accept all kinds of like work, right? You can go as crazy as you can. With some other competitions, if you go too crazy, they're like, kind of like PPA. PPA, I have like, so some of my photos that are like have scored like really high. I enter into the like PPA, and they're like scored like like 80, or like really low compared to like all of the other competitions.
right,
And I believe it's because there's kind of like more like a classic kind of like platform from PPA, kind of like
Right.
more like like senior portraits and like more like uh, beauty stuff. And once you start doing like things like this, like skull, like really just over the top stuff, they're like, oh my gosh, what the heck is this? So yeah, sometimes you need to also understand that the competition that you entering, and of course categories matter a lot. Yeah, it's some of the photos that I do sometimes qualified in to enter like three different categories, and you have to be kind of like strategic and be like, okay, which one is gonna do better? Or maybe I already have one in boudoir and I don't have one in in portraits. Maybe I'll just put this in portraits. So it's kind of like depends on competition, depends on like the not just the competitions, but which photo you are actually going to enter. So to answer the question, I do take a lot of time to think, okay, which photo I'm going to enter to this competition, which photos I think they're going to do well in this other one because not every photo will do great.
Yeah, like every competition, because I've only entered three. Yeah, I've only entered three competitions. Obviously, I've entered some of them multiple times, but every competition that you enter has a vein, and that vein is usually the extension of whoever the head person is from that competition. So, like the one year that Shutter had their competition, right? You know, it's Sal's community, so the pulse of it is Sal's style. You know what I'm saying? And you know, although I entered that year, that was my first year in general entering competition. I didn't really have I didn't have a good basis of competition then or whatever. I had just won my first uh, image at WPPI. Was I came in second place overall in the category, but I was also not in the mindset of I can take this image that I put in this competition and also put it in this one and also put it in this one. You know what I'm saying? So like
Yeah,
we have a ton of awards. I could have more. I just never entered those images in some of the other competitions. I just didn't have that mindset until a couple of years later, where you start to see stuff repeat over and over again. But the Portrait Masters, which I'm not sure if you guys heard as of today, Portrait Masters competition is no more. They are done. They're not.
really.
Yeah, yep. They sent out an
Ah,
email.
shoot.
They're doing one final round for those people who were like on the verge of being able to get like their masters and things of that nature or whatever for like the accreditation. But after that, absolutely no more. Which sucks because I mean I hate to say it, you know, that was kind of an easy competition to like, merit in, you know what I'm saying? And it was cheap to enter, and it was a great opportunity to be able to get feedback on your images so that you could improve those images and take them to other competitions. The entry fee was like 25 or $30 or something like that, right? Versus historically WPPI, I wasn't doing like first half, second half. I was only doing print. So you gotta do whatever it is that you're gonna do shoot wise. If you're creating specifically for that competition, you got to get it edited. If the editing is beyond something that you can do yourself, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Um, then you got to get the print done. Then you got to get it shipped in, and then if you want the image back, right, then you got to get it shipped back. Four images would cost me like I don't know, like $2,000. You know,
yeah.
to
Expensive.
to enter. So it can be a very expensive, process. So, those lighter competitions, I don't want to call them easier, but the lighter competitions, those are great because you can spend a couple bucks, 25, $30, get an entry in there, get some feedback that'll be valuable for you to be able to just improve your images. And, for a WPPI, which is no more, it's the Icon Awards now, being able to like sit in on those rooms and hear the critiques of an image that you thought was fantastic, right? It scores lower than what you would think it would score. Then being able to hear that critique will help you to improve as a photographer all the way around the board. So
Yeah.
let's see. Adam asks, what are your recommendations for a starter light setup when you like a dramatic look?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, dramatic lighting doesn't mean you need like five different lights, right? You can have two. Like if you see my Instagram, the very first photo that I have, it has only two lights, and it's very really really interesting and creative, and you don't need like that much. That's just two lights, right? And I do this setup a lot where I have the softbox on the back, big softbox, and it's not even a softbox, it's an umbrella, so it's even cheaper. It's like, $40 you can get like a 72-inch big softbox umbrella with the little fabric. So that's what I have, like a big umbrella, and then I have an 8200, with a snoot just to shoot on her, lips, and that's it. So you don't need like five or six different lights. I sometimes even just do one light just with the umbrella on the back, and that's it, just to create the circle. So creative lighting for me is like, you can go as much as like having, I would say, like start with one and two, and like start doing something that is interesting to you, and then start looking to other people's works too. But don't think like you need like, five different lights or all this gels, gears. Of course, once you like get like really into it, you can start playing with a bunch of stuff. But at the beginning, it can also be very frustrating to do like three different lights, because you have to like constantly be paying attention to all the lights. Yeah, especially if like a model has like a lot of different, headpieces. Something she moves a little bit to the left, then the light on the back is not hitting her right, so now you get like a big light in here in her chest. And then so it can be a lot. You need to be like paying attention to all the lights, the model, the whatever she's wearing. So it can be a lot. So yeah, one or two lights, it's a great way to do it.
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, one light. Like, there's some people that do amazing stuff with one light. Don't get caught up on all the complicated stuff. Nino Batista, he does a lot of fantastic stuff with one light. Sal has a class at the conference. His keynote is on. I can't remember what the title of it is or whatever, but it like I've seen this dude do some crazy stuff with like just one light. Whereas most people like, I need a soft box, I need a strip box, I need a snoot, I need a beauty dish with a grid or whatever, and it still looks like shit. You know what I'm saying? So simplify the process as much as humanly possible. Katrina's asking, would you sit in on judging before submitting? Um, I'll let you go first on that one.
When I started, I entered without knowing, and it was kind of like, for me, felt, I don't know. I feel like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe they're gonna show these photos in front of all these people, and they're terrible, right? But also kind of like, helps that it gets the jitters out of like you did it, and then you have like some reference stuff like, okay, I have 76 now, I can go from there. But since that one time, I started entering even local competitions, because it was like closer to me to travel. PPA is a great way to enter local competitions, because they have like sectors in every city. Sometimes like, around your neighborhood or something, like they have like a PPA affiliate program, where at least the one that I have here is, it's not as close, but it's like an hour and a half away, and they do, I think, a competition every 3 months, something like that. So you have a couple, like 3 4 times a year to kind of like go to those competitions. And if you don't want to enter, you can just go and sit and kind of like listen to understand that competition, see what people are entering, and kind of like get an idea of like, what judges are looking for. And you have to understand, like, competitions, it gets to a point where it just, you need to be careful, right? Because like photography and competition is like, some of the judges can be like, not very knowledgeable with some of the like, categories, or they can, like I say, some photos that I really like, that have like score really really high in all the competitions, they don't do well in PPA. So you don't have to get discouraged, right? Because it's just the kind of competition, or sometimes the judges that they're doing that specific panel. But it's to start. I guess just going there and being there, if you're like not ready to like submit, especially spending the money, spending like the effort, because you have to print it and send it. Some of them are digital. The locals are digital, so you can send those there. But yeah, it'll be a very very inexpensive way to start, just to like go and see competition. And so some online ones, they also can like do kind of like a live kind of like broadcast, where you can actually also hear what the judges are saying. So that could be another way too.
Right. I mean, me, I am a jump head first into everything kind of person. I think that if you've never been to a judging and you sit in on a judging before you enter, you'll end up with analysis paralysis, and then you just won't enter, right? And you never necessarily quite know where you stand. Now, technically, I did sit in on judging before I ever entered my first image, which is this image right here, right? I I sat in on that judging over those days, and when I left, I was like, I would never be a photographer that wins awards.
Yeah.
Absolutely not, never, right? 1 month later, I took this image, and 2 years later, when I entered it in the competition, I ended up second place overall in my category, and um, I entered it just to enter it, not to like, oh, I'm gonna enter this because I think I'm gonna win. Like, I just entered it just to kind of like see where I stood or whatever. And if you've heard me tell this story before, the image that beat me for first place had Jesus in it, and if I'm gonna lose to anybody, it might as well be Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Simple as that, right? But I didn't know where I stood until then. And then at that point, now because I came in second place, I felt obligated to continue to enter into competition. And I continued winning. You know what I'm saying? So you never know where you stand. So I would say just go out there and make it happen as best you can. Let's see. Brian says photo conferences can be expensive, especially when traveling. When do you know that the conferences will help in your business, and why do you keep going? You want to chime in on that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like when you started, like, of course, learning is not just beneficial for just to be, enter competitions, but if you actually go to a conference and you have someone that you really admire and take the class, of course, it's going to help your business, because you're going to learn, the kind of things that you're probably missing, or things like that. But talking about me personally, it has helped my business a lot, because I've been able to connect with more people. In any business, they're going to tell you the same thing, right? You have to like know people. Even if you just do weddings, you have to know the wedding planners. You have to know all these people to make your business kind of thrive. And for photography, it's the same thing. If you not only do weddings, or if you want to collaborate with other people, that's in my case how I got uh, how other people started to noticing me was through competitions, because I was appearing on these platforms, and people were like see me and see my work like more and more and more. So that's how I became ambassador for a bunch of different brands. And when I go to conferences, I like to connect with people that I really like the brands, and maybe they don't know me, and then I will like see if there's a way to collaborate, or if there's a way to just maybe just to say hi, or something like that. So that has helped me in my business in another, I guess, not in the normal way, I guess, like of like what everybody would think, like just take a class and then bring it back and then apply that, but also like to know the people. Like that's how I met like Andre, like like here. So now I'm going to this conference that he's doing. Um, know a bunch of people from brands that have like helped my business by just getting my name out there and like being ambassador, and then being teaching for them at their booths or like things like that. So that's the way that I seen that it has helped me personally, not just you know my wedding business, but overall.
That's what's up, man. Let's see real quick. Johnny says, I've entered a competition, but there are so many. For a newbie's point of view, how do you narrow down which ones to enter?
Phew, that's a good one. Um, I would say enter the ones that you actually are doing right now. Like if you're a wedding photographer, then enter those competitions, right? Because you'll probably already have the material, or you probably will create that material. You don't have to like spend money on like trying to do a studio shoot if you don't do that, or like maybe gonna get discouraged. But if you're just that's how I started. Like entered my photos that I was doing for just regular portraits, like adult portraits, and they did terrible. And I got very kind of like more even more pumped to come next year. But yeah, that's what I would say. Just which ones to enter? Like I just enter what you have or what you're passionate about. Like I entered those competitions, but then I realized that I there was something that clicked when I saw those studio portraits, and I started just kind of like learning to do that. So that's what I started entering more.
Yeah, I mean, like that, like I was saying earlier about like the Portrait Masters, like that was a great entry level one that unfortunately is gone now, right? As of today, it's gone. So, um, I've been actually he knows more competitions than I do. As I look through all of the awards and stuff that you have, like my awards
Mhm.
are three different competitions. You have entered other ones that I haven't even touched. I think there's an IPE or IPA, there's WPA or WPE or something. Like I haven't touched any of those yet. What's the one that's like the award is like an X? What's that one?
Yeah, that's they have a couple competitions like photography of the year. I can't remember the exact number, but yeah, the trophies are just like an X. And if you win photography of the year, they send you kind of like a chrome little camera. But
Oh,
that's a
nice.
fun one. So sometimes also because some competitions they are not only just most competitions you just get the privilege to be like first prize and that's it. But some other competitions are also kind of like Portrait Masters. I really like that competition because it was very high level. There was only mostly was studio. Towards the end, they started accepting like wedding photos, but it was mostly portraits and mostly studio work. So the caliber was very high. But if you win first place in a category, they'll give you $1,000. And if you win overall, they'll give you another 2,000. So you'll get 3,000. So I started in 2019 on that one, and I got first place every single year except the last one where I didn't enter many competitions. But yeah, that was a great one. There's many that give you prizes,
Mhm.
not money prizes also, but like kind of like gear stuff like that.
Yeah, like Portrait Masters, I entered twice. The first time I entered was was a surprise. I'm not even gonna front. Like first time I entered, I won first place in the category. Uh, I had 8 images in the top 20 across two categories, and six in the top 10 in the wedding category. Right, like insane, right? Um, and then I got busy. I wasn't, shooting as much stuff, a lot more education, you know what I'm saying? So at that point, I didn't have a lot of content to enter at that point. And which sucks because I have some images right now that I've been checking to figure out when they were gonna open up the portrait master because I had some images that would be fantastic for it, right? And now they're shutting it down. So it just kind of is what it is. Um, Let me see some other ones. That's Johnny's. Let's look at Adam had another one. Okay, what do you think about WPPI straight out of camera category for competition?
That I mean, the pictures that I seen on that one, they're crazy. I mean, you really need to be like, I guess, spend a lot of time to think about those photos,
Right.
because you can't really do anything, right? It's just like whatever's from the camera. And some of the pictures that I seen, I was like, oh wow, because it's not that you just take like a regular photo, right? They're trying to make it some kind of like artistic in camera, so that it has more, uh, potential to win. So some of those photos that I seen, they're a little bit, shorter drag or like whatever, something that will make it stand out. But I think it's right. I think I've been thinking of like trying some of those, but they're just, so hard that I will have to like spend a lot of time trying.
Yeah, man. Like, and over the years they kind of pulled some of the categories out. Like, remember there was one category that was like a wedding details category or something like that.
Mm, yeah.
That, man, I created this image. Like, I was so thoughtful in the moment. Like, I'm shooting it, and I was like, you know what? If I make a couple of tweaks here in camera, I could enter this into in camera artistry or whatever, right? And then it was in camera artistry, and then there was like another one that was like specific to the wedding, like wedding details or whatever. And then they pulled the damn category, and I was like, I just spent so much time for absolutely nothing, because none of the other competitions have a space for that either. So
Yeah.
it just kind of is what it is. But yeah, I think that's a great category to be able to like stretch your muscles on, and you being a good photographer. I won't lie, the last year I have been a lazy photographer. I have been like, I'll fix it in post. Oh, that's don't worry about it. I'll fix it in post. And they're only making it easier for us to fix it in post, which is what's making me so much lazier. And I need to like pull my focus back in. So after Boca Summit is over and I put on a good show for you guys, I can get back to being a responsible photographer and not doing it in post, right? Um, let's see. Derek, glad you're loving the conversation. Katrina says, would you suggest more images clients looking at camera or away from camera?
If you talk about competitions, that's an interesting question, because when I started doing competitions, started getting deep into competitions, I like to go to the website of the competition and really understand what kind of things are, have won or like looking for. But I've seen like more photos like looking away. So I do a combination of both, but most of my photos are looking away or like eyes closed down, unless it's very intentional. Like I have a photo where uh, the model's like wearing a headpiece. It's actually the same model from the school, and she has like a gold body painting. She's looking at the camera, and she just has like her like nail like this. So if it's very intentional and very purposeful, like I said, for competition, they always see everything, right? So like if the model's looking to the camera, why is he looking to the camera? If not looking for the camera, why? Right? Is it because she has like a bunch of eye makeup and it's better to like have her eyes closed? So yeah, it just depends on the category. Portraits, like if it's like a teenager or like a little kids, probably looking at the camera because they look cuter or like they look more interesting rather than looking away, right? Unless you have like things around that they're interacting with.
Yeah, like I would definitely say it would be contingent on what the content is. So like years ago, many years ago when I first started, I read Roberto's book Picture Perfect Posing. And in that book he talked about, um depending on the type of photography that you're shooting, you would pose people in a particular way in order to be able to highlight particular things. So if it's the garment, or if it's the shoes, or if it's the, specific things with like the face. So it's been a very long time since I read that book, about 9 years. But I would definitely suggest uh, giving that a read because there's a lot of great information in there that will kind of help you just be a better overall better poser. And if you have stronger poses with your images, then you'll have the ability to just be able to create stronger images that will do better in competition. Brian is asking, do you guys get other work outside of what you do because of what you do? Examples, corporate work, etc.
Hmm. Sometimes, but not really. Like I guess like some people have asked me because I do studio. Some people ask me for like headshots, you know, corporate stuff. Um, and sometimes I get interesting kind of work. Like when I was getting married, I went to a tailor to like get my suit fitted and all that. And these people are like very. I really like their style, and they always because they sell clothes. They're like always dressed up and like really cool outfits. And we were talking about like like what suit I wanted, and they learned that I was a photographer, and we're like, oh, we sometimes we hire photographers to shoot for us. So in that occasion, I also and I'm actually working with them next month. So I've done a couple of shoots for them. So that's not really a wedding or a studio shoot. It's more like like I don't know, like corporate fashion, kind of type of photo shoot. And they like my style because even though it's outdoors or in their shop, I still do use some of the techniques that I use for my studio work. Not really, it's more towards my studio work than my wedding work. So my wedding work, I'm just like Andrew said, it's just like getting the very better expression, getting your work clean, and kind of like you don't have time to like set up like three different lights or like two or like having those very specific things or like wasting any time. But yeah, so sometimes I do, but not many.
Yeah, and like me, I do a fair amount of corporate stuff. I mean, obviously my main stuff is wedding, maternity, boudoir. Boudoir being pretty much only bridal boudoir. Um, Outside of like shooting some of my bride's friends, like I don't advertise that I do boudoir, and nothing like that. But I do a fair amount of corporate work. So, we do corporate photo, corporate video. We were just in Colorado with this company that we do some of their events for headshots with 300 people. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? And then like photo, video type stuff for like the conference itself. So that stuff is always great for me. I want a shit ton more of it, right? I had a fair amount of clients doing corporate events pre-COVID, and then like some of that kind of fell off because people shifted jobs and things like that during COVID. So I had clients like Delta and stuff like that because I'm in Atlanta, right? But yeah, I definitely want a lot more of it because
Yeah.
it pays so well. They're not really trying to negotiate you down on stuff. You know what I'm saying? The corporate work, I can farm that out to like people that I'm in training for or whatever. And yeah, people that I'm just trying to like help be better and add to my team. I can farm that stuff out to them and don't have to worry about it because it's just a lot of coverage.
Yeah.
Let's see. Marvin is asking, do you parlay your success in competitions to gain new clients?
Hmm. I through competitions mostly like getting myself out there, and I started doing it because I wanted to. I wasn't really thinking. I guess most of my studio stuff is because I want to do it and I like to do it. It's not, you know, I now have some clients that I found through my competitions because they found my Instagram and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
and they want that specific style. But mostly are like kind of like what you said, boudoir or like. family shoots or like things that are like not super creative, but like like the more regular studio work. But I have found some people that mostly artists, mostly like I had like a client that she was pregnant and she was a piano player for San Francisco Symphony, and then she wanted to do a photo shoot. And when she told me, maternity, I was like, oh, okay, well, I've done this stuff in maternity. I like send her the regular subtle stuff, and she was like, no, 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 I want something completely different from that. I want kind of like your style. I want to do like not like the like me grabbing my stomach and like a nice little pink dress. No, no, I don't want any of that. I want like going wild, like tight dresses, long dress, whatever you think is uh, you know, would be cool for that. And I was like, oh, cool. Like I can do something very interesting that I haven't done because when can you do a pregnant woman do it in the style that I do? Not
Right.
really, right? Most people they just want to be pretty and feel like all nice and that was a very nice kind of like creativity moment for me to do that maternity shoot. But and I also have like another client that he's a drag queen and he has all kinds of different outfits and all kinds of different stuff and I can also go crazy with him but yeah.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, for me, um, no, because clients will be like, "Oh my God, I found your work. It's so dope. I see you win all these awards. Can I get a discount?" That's just how it is, man. People don't give a shit about none of that. For me, competition is just for fun, like just to be able to like go in and stretch myself, really. Outside of that, yeah,
But
it's
don't get me wrong. Like, don't think because the client's not gonna come with you and be like, okay, because I saw your pictures, that's why I'm hiring you, right? Entering competitions for me have helped me in a way that it make me a better photographer. Like, seeing my photos from the first time I entered from now because of competition, how much I changed. It also helped my my regular work that like my weddings or like my regular portraits in studio. So it might not be necessarily the client comes and like, okay, because I saw you in Adobe BI, I'm going to hire you, right? But because they see my work that now has become much better because of the things that I've done, that the people, mm, like what I do. So that's just a different way to see it, right? Rather than thinking I have these awards in my website and that's why people are coming to me. That's really, people are not really gonna, they don't really care like like what I say.
right. Yeah, they're literally like, whatever, bub. Sounds good. But yeah, man. I mean, it's always good to at least be able to just know how you're standing up. I mean, even right now, like I'm in a creative slump. Like I'm having a hard time liking anything that I'm shooting, and I've gone through that twice back to back in like a very short amount of time. So I'm in like this creative slump now. Is the work good? Probably, you know what I'm saying? But I'm also disconnected from it. So it just makes it harder for me. So now it's like grow and expand and I just haven't really had that time to stretch myself creatively the way that I want to. But that is just gonna be going in and practicing, because again, that's something that I just haven't done in the past, right? Go in and practice and just play around and see the stuff that you come up with. Um, do we have any other questions before we wrap up, guys? Any other questions? They're not here for us, bro. They're just here. They want this free ticket. They don't really care about us, bro.
Like, who's this?
Let me be sure I have all of the names in here. Let me see. Yeah, everybody that I believe I have everybody here.
I did, yeah. It looks good. They're like a
Mm, mm. Cena says, "We're here for you, Andre. You, I know, are here for the free shit, love." Oh snap! Cool. Let's go ahead and share this wheel real quick, so we can let you get back to daddy duty. All right, gang.
Yeah.
So as you know, we have a free seat that we're giving away today, and that lucky winner will be it is Sheena. So Sheena, I already know that you have a ticket and a VIP ticket at that. So yeah, you can gift your ticket to gift this ticket here to somebody else. So I appreciate you guys coming in and hanging out with us. As you know, this is the last one before the conference, so this is the last meet the speakers that we're having. Um, and we are super excited to be hosting everybody here in Atlanta. A lot of great instructors. I think we still have maybe about like 20-ish seats left, 20, 25 or something like that. So, you know, go ahead, tell your friends. We don't have any more discount codes other than the speakers codes, right? So right now we're roughly at about like 200, 215 people, right? So yeah, I mean, I'm super excited um, for all of you guys to come out and come join us. If you have any questions, definitely drop them in the group. If you're not in the group, go ahead and go over there and sign up. But thanks again to Ivan for coming in and hanging out with us today. And I look forward to seeing you all in Atlanta.
Yeah. Thank you, Andre. See you all in a few weeks.
All right, man. Y'all have a good one.
You too. See you in Atlanta. Bye, Andre.